breaking news about the resentencing of the Menendez brothers. Let's listen in to their attorney, Mark Garagos.
They are going to, I anticipate, the motion hasn't been written yet, but given what transpired today and given what's obvious to anyone, I think, who has a couple of synapses that are still firing, this is a DA who made up his mind and did no hard work in terms of his position. He is vindicating no one's interest. He hired a lawyer who endorsed him as his head of victim services. He has given absolutely no victims services whatsoever to the victims in this case. He has taken a position at all times that is not supported by the law. It's not supported by the facts. In addition to that, as everybody already knows from last time I've talked about it, the two deputy DAs that he had, that he inherited from the previous administration. He gave freeway therapy to one, Mr. Lunsford. By the way, for those of you who are in the weeds, when Pam Bozanich lost by having a hung jury on the first trial, she was banished to Norwalk and was not allowed to try the second case. When Brock Lunsford made the cardinal sin of following the law and the facts and initiating a resentencing for the Menendezes, one of the first acts, even before he was sworn in, was to banish Brock Lunsford to guess where? Norwalk. I don't know what's the matter with Norwalk. I'm sure it's a very nice place, but if you end up there as a DA, that's not exactly the pinnacle of your career. Nancy Thieberge, who was had a very illustrious career in the DA's office, he actually kicked out of the office. John Lewin, who spent 18 months as a commentator, anybody that would put him on TV during the previous administration, criticizing the Menendezes, was promoted to major crimes, which is the plum assignment in the office. Habib Balian is his direct supervisor as the assistant head. You now have, in addition to all of that, you have Mr. Hochman taking positions and doing press stunts that, in my humble opinion, not only violate his duty to the law, but violate his duty to the state of California, the county of Los Angeles. The ultimate insult, I believe, was last Friday when the grisly crime scene photos were thrown up unexpectedly in violation of Marsy's Law, which, as Mr. Friedman ably pointed out, is a constitutional provision. We believe that directly caused the traumatization, re-traumatization of Terry Baralt, who I'm happy to inform is now out of the hospital, but was found unresponsive. Mr. Hochman's solution, or his answer to her being traumatized, was at best, weak-kneed apology, and to promptly have Kathy Cady, his supposedly walled-off head of victim services, arrange a rather failed protest at which he spoke on that Sunday morning while Terry Baralt was in ICU. Mr. Friedman has also articulated today, on behalf of the victims, further grounds for recusal, but all taken. The standard for recusal in this state under Penal Code Section 1424 has been met. We plan on filing that. I would have done it sooner. However, I wanted to get this hearing done. Unfortunately, to recuse a DA's office requires 10 court days under the code, and you have to give notice to the Attorney General. So anticipatorily answering some of your questions, I would suggest you ask Mr. Bonta what his position will be as the Attorney General and the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the state. Yes?
Is it your contention that the DA is biased in this case?
Yes, under a recusal motion, so that you understand, is that there is the appearance of impropriety and actual bias and on behalf of the DA. Anybody who witnessed him driving out here from the West Side enclave where he lives to do a press conference this morning to say nothing except to violate what was then a confidential document in front of the cameras, and then to scurry off, I think would be probably Exhibit 27 of the motion to recuse. It's not just, what's the what?
Where is the bias?
Okay. If you don't understand the bias, you'll just stay tuned and we'll read.
Well, Mark, you
we'll
brought up
write it to
Beverly
you.
Hills High School. You brought up that he's.
I didn't bring up Beverly Hills High School, Mr. Kovacic. Mr. Friedman did. Give him credit. I brought up everything I just detailed is what I brought up. That will be part of the
But
motion.
Does that come into play here?
Everything is fair game. When you do an analysis based on the analysis we have done, based on recusal motions, which I have filed in the last 25 years and won in this county, this is about as righteous a recusal motion of a DA that I've ever had.
Mr. Garrett, Mr. Garrett,
This is now the third time we've had this
Was the comprehensive risk assessment admitted in court or not?
I haven't seen it, so I don't know how to answer that question.
This is the third time we've had this resentencing hearing postponed. How is the family feeling right now?
Well, let's be accurate. Friday was not postponed. Friday was the hearing on whether they could withdraw. Yes, you're actually right that November 25th was postponed. The family did not want that. I didn't want that. You are right that it was postponed due to the wildfires. Obviously, that was something that severely impacted Southern California. Today's is, as a matter of law, you have to give 10 days court notice.
Mr. Garrigus, can I ask you and the family, sir, are you now resigning yourselves to the likelihood or possibility that the earliest decision on release, freedom, could be post that parole hearing in June?
No, I'm not at all.
How is Eric and Lionel feeling after what happened in court?
I haven't talked to them after the last thing. Obviously, they're cautiously optimistic. I mean, there are a lot of reasons to believe that that when we do the resentencing hearing, that we will get Judge Jessic to reduce this to a manslaughter and release them on time served. That's what the goal is here. The goal is not, as I stated in court, to get a 50 to life and to convert this into a parole hearing. The goal here is very simple. If this were not a high-profile case, you can go do your own research. There have been at least 10 cases recently where the resentencing takes place and the inmate is released immediately on LWOPs. That is not unusual. If it wasn't for all of our accumulated masses here, that's what would have happened in this case. But because it is what it is, this is a case that cries out after 35 years for a reduction to a manslaughter and a release, immediate release. With that, I've got one more question that I'm going to let Mr. Friedman answer.
Could I just ask you, you sound very confident on your refusal motion. Are you saying you would be surprised if the DA is not kicked off the case? Are you that confident in your the case you have against?
There's part of me that thinks that the 3 deputies in that courtroom would welcome it, but that's a whole different issue. Yeah, and there was one more question. Meathead.
First time in a press conference.
That's my affectionate nickname
Why
for
the
him.
concern about allowing the CRA to be admitted today? Can you explain why it's not relevant? Or if
I've got your ABC just sent me over your new contract, but you're not allowed to read it. Will you sign it? Anybody else? What? I can't hear you. What?
If the recusal is granted, then who's going to prosecute if the DA is not?
So that's why I said ask Mr. Bonta. Under the law in California, under Penal Code Section 1424, you must give the Attorney General, who is the chief law enforcement officer in the state, notice of your motion to recuse the district attorney. He gets to weigh in. Mr. Bonta will either say, yes, I agree, no, I don't agree, or I will leave it up to the judge. So that's why it takes 10 court days, because they have to be given notice.
Could you clarify, is everything now on hold until this May 9th court date? No one's testifying tomorrow.
Correct. There is, to clarify, the court date that was reserved for tomorrow, nobody's going to testify. Mr. You want to see your contract? You want to see your
until June 13th?
You want to see your contract before you sign it, or you want to just sign it? Okay, I do.
No, but why not just
I
wait
didn't get a
until
raise
13th?
this year.
Remember how this started?
Yeah.
You know, remember how this started? It's Brian Friedman, attorney for the families. Remember how this started today? Without notice to the families, as they're required to receive under Marcy's law, which is a California constitutional provision. Your constitutional rights, their constitutional rights. How this started was a blanket notice that we got yesterday, which was like a 5-page nothing motion that said, we want to continue the hearing of today. So all these people flew out to be part of a process and here in good faith to help, share honestly about their experience, about, all sorts of things that are relevant here. And they flew out, they were ready to move forward. It was the DA's office that brought a motion to continue this. While we were arguing the motion to continue this, Mr. Hochman was busy out here with you guys pontificating on whatever, however horrible this crime was, which is not even the standard of what we're talking about. The standard is about rehabilitation. And the issue, at least as far as I'm concerned and the family's concerned, is that they're provided with their Marcy rights. They're provided with their constitutional rights. They're heard. They're not abused. They're not treated in a poor way and overlooked. And they're given the right to speak. They're given the right for this proceeding to move forward. And what's happened here is it's become a mockery, an absolute mockery, where, they're filing continuance motions, they're filing, motions to withdraw, the resentencing that we're fighting last week that the judge obviously agreed with us on. I mean, Mr. Hochman has made this a mockery. And you have to ask yourself why. Why is he doing that? Is he personally vested in this? Does he have a personal grudge against Lyle and Eric? Does he have a personal grudge because he's somehow vested in this personally? Does he have a personal grudge against the family members who are entitled to notice of these proceedings, who are entitled to know whether they're going to move for a continuance or not? They're not being provided their rights. That's the problem. And that alone he should be disqualified for. We have complained over and over and over again to get these Marcy rights. And has he appointed anyone else other than Kathy Cady as the victim's rights person to help these people? Kathy Cady, who represented the late Uncle Milton. Is that fair? Is that a fair process? Ask yourself, if your family member was in their situation 35 years later after incredible actions in prison that have helped so many people, so many prisoners to change their lives, ask yourself, I ask myself all the time, would it be different for my sister? They ask themselves, why aren't they being provided with those rights? Why does this DA have something personal against them? And remember his own press conference, which about 362 people actually watched, according to YouTube. His press conference said, and it's very important for you to watch it, by the way. His press conference said, "This is not the Menendez brothers. We're going to treat this separately. This is Lyle Menendez and Eric Menendez, and we're going to treat each of these separately. There's 2 cases. There's 2 different things. We're going to handle them 2 different ways." You remember that? You were here when he said that. Is that what's happening? I don't think so.
Brian, does it seem unfair that they would ask that you put family members up as witnesses when they've read, the DA has read this risk assessment, and you've not even seen it, and knowing that they'd have to be called back, they could be cross-examined on information they don't even know?
First of all, I don't think the risk assessment is a completed document. So I think that putting anything up that's not
and you've been
something
listening
that's a
to a news
completed
conference by Mark Garagos and Brian Friedman, attorneys for Eric and Lyle Menendez. They were speaking about the resentencing for
Right.
The
Doesn't sound like
brothers,
the United States of America,
after
does it?
serving 35 years,
it really doesn't.
they
It's
want
really
DA
outrageous.
Hochman
And,
recused of this
you've
case.
gotten
That
to
would
know
take at
the
least
family
10
members. They're
days
about to
and
become
could be
your family
decided
members.
by
You expect
Attorney
some-
General
you spend more
Bonta
time together
if a
than I
judge
spent
does
with my
not.
family.
Again,
I mean,
the
I
resentencing
love these
for
people.
Lyle and
They're
Eric Menendez has been
incredible people.
delayed, and we will
show up.
continue, of course, to follow this and bring you the latest on KCAL News at 4. We now return you to regular
One man
programming.
only, and it's not. I don't even think it's those 3 DAs. I think it's one man